every tournament that I enter is starting to teach me something different. So when I first thought about doing some local kayak fishing tournaments, my mindset was I would just pay an entry fee, show up, catch a bunch of fish, maybe win a little bit of money. Boy, was I wrong. I'm quickly finding out where my weaknesses are fishing and how I'm having to adjust. Now, I don't claim to be an expert fisherman. This is still all new to me, but what I thought I knew about catching bass, totally wrong. It is a different ball game when you're out on the water, you're under a time constraint, and you're trying to get fish on the yak and get them on the measuring board. And I'm not going to lie, I thought I would have instant success and that I would do really good in these tournaments. The one thing I learned, you get humbled very quickly when you're doing these tournaments with guys that know how to fish a lot better than you do. I guess the one thing I caught myself doing too was, after watching a bunch of YouTube videos and knowing some other fishermen, was comparing myself to these other fishermen, thinking that I was going to be on their level. Bad idea. Now, after fishing a couple tournaments, I quickly found out and learned, my setup was not good, how I had pre-planned it and how I had done everything beforehand. Once you hit the water, you're under the gun. I quickly learned that the setup I had planned out was just not working. Rushing. I felt myself rushing through the day and completely getting myself all out of whack and making it more complicated than it needed to be. I was using baits that I had not normally used, so it was a learn on the go type of situation, which is not ideal when you are doing fishing tournaments. I was using setups that I had not used before, so not only was I trying to learn new baits and play around with different setups, I was doing it during a tournament when your focus should be strictly on landing fish, getting fish measured on the board and entered for your tournament. And then I was not managing my time good. I thought having 7, 8, 9 hours on the water, I would have plenty of time throughout the day to make up fish, and you find that is just not true. Time gets away from you quickly, the bite drops off, and then you're playing catch up. But here's the one thing that I am quickly learning. You got to do what you know how to do. Use the setups you're comfortable with, use the baits that you are familiar with, and that's what I did exactly on my last tournament. Is the week before the tournament, I decided I was going to simplify the stuff that I was taking. So I organized my tackle for top water, which I'm very comfortable with, and went through and redone some of my soft top plastics and chatterbaits, things like that. I also dialed in the colors that I was going to use and really just had my little small track pack right here. Only have quick changing baits that I could go to without wasting a bunch of time getting different baits out, different trailers out. So for me, the pre-planning that week was to simplify the setup on the kayak. Some other things that I learned is the layout that I had in here, it was just starting for me to get a little bit cluttered. So what I did is that week I figured out where I was going to move things, put things in the event that I started getting on fish, to make everything a little bit more simple, to A, take the stress down, and B, to have a little bit more fun day. So tournament day rolls around, simplified setup. It actually worked. So instead of trying to cover so much ground at one given time, I just slowed the pace down and I went with what I knew. Conserve more energy. The last tournament I come off, I felt like that I had done nothing but just cast and move all day long. When I got off the water, between the rain, between everything that was going on, I was exhausted. I think my watch said that I had burnt over 2,000 calories, and I think my total calorie intake for that tournament was 1,000 calories. So I was in depleted mode. I set reminders so I would know, okay, you need to take a quick break, rehydrate, need to get some snacks in you, need to keep that energy level up to be able to pace yourself for the entire day. And this is all new to me. It's different type of fishing. So until I get into a rhythm and swing of things of, really, even though you have a lot of time on the water, it's fast paced. It goes by quick. And until I get that dialed in, I'm going to set the reminders on my phone just to keep myself in check so I don't run myself down out on the water, because it can happen really, really quick. And when that does, you kind of throw yourself off and throw your own game plan out the window. If you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button. Give me a follow. I appreciate you watching the content. But here's the one thing, and for me this is a positive that I can say about fishing these local tournaments. For me, I don't really put the stress on, that I need to finish in the top 3. Would it be nice to do that and win some of that money back? Absolutely. But if I don't, I'm taking every single one of these trips as a learning experience, building off the last tournament, and I'm just going to keep going and going and going until I get more comfortable doing these tournaments. When you're new at kayak fishing, when you're kind of new at bass fishing in general, it is a steep learning curve. There is so many baits out there. There's so many setups. It could be downright confusing. It can be stressful figuring out what you need to take, what works, what doesn't work, what color combination. Are you using the right brand? Are you using the right lure? Are you using the right line? That can be daunting trying to figure all that out. What I'm learning is keeping it simple. I'm using what I'm comfortable with. I'm not using what everybody else uses because they catch fish. I'm using what I'm comfortable with. I'm using the baits that I'm comfortable with, and then I'm adjusting my colors and those types of baits depending on the location, the weather, the water temperature. So for me, that's the biggest thing. This is a learning curve, learning on the fly. And like I said, I'm no expert. I am all new to this, kayak fishing, a little over a year now. This is my first year doing the kayak fishing tournaments. If you're new getting into this, here's the one piece of advice I would give you. You can watch videos on how to fish specific baits. You can watch videos on what baits are catching fish. But that doesn't mean you're going to catch fish. When you go buy those baits, when you go buy those rod and reels, and you try to use those same techniques that all these other people are using to catch fish, what I would tell you is you've got to be confident in what you're using, what you're throwing, and if you're not confident, you are not going to catch fish. It is going to be a struggle. You are going to get aggravated. It's going to suck the fun right out of it. So if you're new, keep it simple, keep it fun. That way you will stay out on the water longer. When you do these, you got to build confidence. You take your performance over time and you build off that. And I may have not figured this out yet, but every single tournament teaches me something new and prepares me for the next. Thanks for stopping by and watching this episode of Off the Yak. Stay tuned for more.